Okay, so what happens when a private fight goes very, very public? Today, we're jumping into a wild story about a domestic dispute that was actually live streamed on social media. And it ends with an arrest that I promise you nobody saw coming. Let's get right into it. So, that voice you're hearing, that's Shay. And she's right in the middle of a super tense situation with the police. What she's saying here is basically her whole argument in a nutshell. She's got way too much going on in her life to be the one starting trouble. But, is that really the full picture? So, how did we even get here? How does a private argument blow up into a live streamed police call? Let's walk through exactly how this personal drama turned into a public spectacle for everyone to hear. All right, so picture this. We're in Austin, Texas. The police have been called to a house. Inside, there's a major dispute going on between two women, Shay and Tiara. But here's the twist. It's all being broadcast live on the audio app Clubhouse. As you listen to the audio, you can just feel how thick the tension is. Shay's goal seems pretty straightforward, right? She wants her ex-partner Tiara and Tiara's daughter out of her house, immediately. You can absolutely hear the frustration in her voice. So Shay starts laying out her side of the story, not just to the cops, but to her live audience. She insists she never got physical, that Tiara is lying to get her in trouble, and she keeps repeating how much she stands to lose. But then she says something really interesting, that her security cameras, which are always on, were mysteriously turned off. But this isn't just a bad argument. Oh no, the whole thing gets way more complicated because of one crucial piece of paper, a legal document that changes everything. And that piece of paper is a protective order. It's a legal document a court issues to keep one person away from another. And in this story, that order is the exact thing that elevates this from a messy fight to a potential crime. And this is where the story gets really, really weird. I mean, if there's a protective order, how are they in the same house? Well, after a fight back in November, Tiara went home to New Jersey. From there, she filed for a protective order against Shay. But then, and this is the part that has everyone scratching their heads, she flew all the way back to Austin and went straight to Shay's house. And this right here is the core of the whole problem. Shay thinks, hey, she came to my house, so she's the one violating the order. Makes a certain kind of sense, right? But that's not how the law works. The legal responsibility, the burden, is on the person the order is against. In this case, Shay, to stay away. It doesn't matter who showed up where. Which leads to the million-dollar question. And it's the same question the officer on the scene asks her. If Shay knew there was a protective order against her, why on earth would she let Tiara back into her house? Shay's answer, well, it has nothing to do with the law. It's all about emotion. She tells the officer she did it because she loved her, because she was hoping they could work things out, take a leap of faith. It's a very messy human reason in a very black and white legal situation. Okay, so this is the moment. The moment it all changes. The live broadcast captures this turning point. And from here, there's absolutely no going back. So Shay is trying to end this whole thing. She offers up what she thinks is the perfect solution. She tells the cops she'll just go get Tiara's car keys and then Tiara can leave. Problem solved, right? You can just hear it in her voice. She's so sure of herself. She's not just suggesting this. She's declaring it. Like, okay, everyone, show's over. I'm ending this right now. And just like that, everything flips. The officer's calm, simple command just cuts right through all the drama. And in that one sentence, Shay goes from the person calling the shots to the person in handcuffs. Wow, what a difference a moment makes, right? All that confidence is just gone. It's replaced by the pure shock of someone realizing they're being arrested, and it's all happening live for anyone to hear. The arrest might have been the big climax of the live stream, but for the people listening, the conversation was just getting started. They immediately started debating what happened, and more importantly, why. And this was the huge question that everyone was wrestling with. If someone gets a protective order, but then goes back to the person they got it against, are they still a victim? Or at that point, are they a volunteer? It's a really tough question. The audience was completely split. On one side, you had people saying this is a classic example of coercive control, that emotional manipulation is so powerful, the victim can't really make a free choice to stay away. But on the other side, people were taking a much harder line, with some commentators calling it dumb bitch syndrome,
basically arguing that adults have to be held responsible for their choices, especially when they keep returning to danger.
The debate got really heated. Someone pointed out that, statistically, it can take a woman up to 30 instances of assault before she reports anything. Someone else shot back that you have to have personal accountability. But then, here's the kicker. A commentator dropped a bomb, claiming that even after all this, after the arrest, Tiara went back to Shay's house. Again. So the live stream ended, but the story? It was far from over. And honestly, it left everyone listening with way more questions than answers.
Yeah, so many of the key details are still a blur. We heard the term unlawful restraint thrown around, seemingly because Shay had Tiara's car keys. The two women's stories just don't match up. And there was this unconfirmed claim that Tiara had scratches on her, which, if true, would have changed everything for the police on the scene. It's all so messy. And it all kind of leads to this really difficult question. In a situation like this, where there's no obvious good guy or a bad guy, what does justice even look like? At the end of the day, maybe this is what we're left with. The law is pretty black and white, right? Violate a protective order, you get arrested. But this story, broadcast straight from the heart of the chaos, shows us that real life is anything but. And you have to wonder, is our legal system really equipped to handle the messy, chaotic reality of modern relationships?